What's going on, guys? Alex here at 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the WE Knives Mini Malice. So this is a knife that I got in, it's been about a week and a half, I think, since I got it in. I did not do an unboxing video. I did use this in a unboxing of another knife, and I mentioned that I got this in because this was actually sent to my my home address where my parents live. Me and my fiance went home for a weekend, and this was waiting for me there. I didn't have any of my, my filming set up, my tripod, anything like that. And I was pretty busy that weekend, so I did not end up doing a unboxing video for you guys on this one. But I have it in, and I am ready to do my full review on it. So this is a knife that is in via the Apex passaround group. And I honestly kind of forgot about this. I try to keep a list in my notes app on my phone of like passaround, upcoming passaround knives that I still am on the list for. And of course this was on there, but I just kind of, forgot about it because I think I was pretty far down on the list of checking this out. So it kind of slipped my mind. So when I got it, I was like, oh, it was a nice little surprise. But yeah, I wanted to check this out because it kind of caught my eye. I had not really checked out a WE button lock yet. And I signed up for it back when kind of button locks were still, they're still very, very popular, and I don't think they'll ever be not popular. But it was kind of back when the button locks were kind of the craze and like, the new. So I wanted to check it out. It is a fair and forge design, so getting right in, I guess, some materials. Fair and forge design right there. This is in 20 CV, which is very small print right there by the tang of the blade. If you guys, my phone will pick that up. But it's in 20 CV. Of course, you have full titanium, DLC coated blades. This is a fully blacked out, the WE logo right there, button lock, flipper tab. You do have a nice choil. And right away, even if the Fair and Forge logo was not on there, with a middle titanium clip that is a little bit scratched up because it is a passaround knife. But what I was saying is, even if you knew, even if they took the logo off there, you can still tell that this is a Fair and Forge design. And you have a interesting, kind of it's holes, but it's almost like works like a fuller because you do not have a full hole. It's like perforated kind of. And I'm going to be honest with you guys right out of the gate. This is not, the best looking knife aesthetically, in my opinion. I don't love a lot of what Fair and Forge does. It's not that they're bad designs. They're just kind of meh to me. I don't really, gravitate towards them. Earlier on in my knife collecting, sort of career, or, early on in my knife collecting, we'll just say that, I did have a Fair and Forge Stinger, which was nice. But again, I gravitated away from it. But for the value, that was a pretty good knife. But yeah, I don't love a lot of their designs. Not that I hate them, not that I don't like them. I just kind of see them and I'm like, just another Fair and Forge design. It is what it is. They do have some decent ones, like the ProTech Mordax is a very nice design. I like how that looks. And a couple other ones have been okay, but this is kind of right in the middle for me, I guess. It's just meh. But there are a few different variations of this knife. So I would leave a typical link to White Mountain Knives because that's where I like to leave links for you guys. Just because, you can use someone's code and get 10% off, save some money. But unfortunately, all of the Mini Malice variants are out of stock. So the link I will be leaving down below is to Blade HQ, where this specific version is in stock. But there are 6 different variations. You have a flame titanium handle, which has like the tiger striping going on the side. They all have 20 CV except for the Damasteel version. So you have the tiger stripe with the flame titanium. You have the fully blacked out version. You have the black titanium handle with a Damasteel. You have a blue titanium with a silver bead blast, a bronze titanium with a silver bead blast, and a gray, like natural titanium with a silver bead blast. Or, no, it actually has a stone wash, excuse me. And they all go for the same price, except for the tiger stripe being a little bit more expensive and the Damasteel version being a little bit more expensive, which of course I'll talk about price point when we, sort of the end. You guys know how I do. But yeah, I think that's really, I kind of talked about most materials. Of course, you have the flipper tab, button lock, hole/folder for deployment, milled titanium pot clip. It does look very, I think this, this pot clip fits a knife very, very well. Didn't mean to flip off the camera there, but on bearings, of course, you have Ferrum Forge design, 20 CV steel with a drop point fuller up there. An interesting looking knife. You have some back spacers right there. So that's really all for materials. As for internal milling, I always like to talk about, there are 3 pockets on both the button lock side and the clip side. So for weight, it's not too bad for being a full titanium knife. Weight on this is 3.4 ounces, which is very, adequate for, the size of this knife. Blade is 2.98, so basically a 3-inch blade, but you do have a choil right there, so cutting edge. I cannot find cutting edge, but cutting edge is going to be significantly less than that 2.98 because, again, you have that choil there. But yeah, it's all for materials. So we're going to jump into action next. This knife came to me, a little bit loose. So I did strengthen up give the pivot a few more turns with my bit driver, and I was able to get it nice and tight. No blade play at all, and still gets pretty drop shutty. But the flipper tab works pretty well. You can push button, or you can light switch. I prefer to do the push button just because you kind of, find where the flipper tab is, and then you just kind of, give it a little bit of pressure and it pops right out. Light switch, I don't really do like the whole pulling motion. It just kind of feels like unnatural to me. So I definitely prefer the push button method as opposed to the light switch method, which that didn't even fire. You can thumb flick it. Not very easily though. Just the way the knife handle is shaped, and you kind of have to hold it and get your thumb like in weird. And it doesn't really want to fire. Also, I think the blade or the flipper tab might hit your palm of your hand a little bit. You can slow roll it out, but honestly, thumb flicking, there we go. I got it once, but I'm not a big fan of it. It feels, like I said, unnatural, and the way your hand placement is, it feels very, very awkward, and I really would not recommend it on this knife. Definitely stick to the flipper tab, or you can middle finger flick. You guys can hear the acoustics. It fires right out of there. Has a good sound to it. The D10 is definitely stiff, especially for a button lock, which you don't see that, too often. You guys can hear it snapping back into place. Middle finger flick. Again, that thumb flick just feels really awkward, and I'm not a big fan of it. Most oftentimes than not, you're not going to get it to deploy the whole way. It just feels weird, but you can also lefty flick it. That wasn't a very good one. Lefty flick it. Closing action, it's okay. Obviously, this is not my knife. So, it's not something that I was going to take apart. I didn't feel comfortable. Closing action, there is a little bit of, you guys might be able to hear it, just a smidge of button stick, but it's not terrible. And if you're fidgeting with it, you really can't feel it. And of course, you do have, which is, pretty much standard with button locks, you have that drop shut action, which is really nice. But it doesn't blow me away. It's not like amazing or anything like that. It's decent. It's okay. It can be okay to fidget with. I don't know. That's the word I keep saying to myself with this knife is it's just okay. It's nothing that blows me out of the water. It's nothing that I would, run out to buy. Spoiler alert. I'm glad I'm getting to check it out, but it's just one of those knives that I think will definitely be forgettable. And I don't mean any shame to WE or any shame to Ferrum Forge, designs and stuff like that. This is just not a knife that, really that I'm going to think to myself in a couple weeks, like, man, after I ship it out to the next person, like, man, I really miss that knife, and like I want to go buy one and go pick one up and stuff like that. So action, except, push button with the flipper tab is nice. Middle finger flick is nice. You can, of course, like I said, slow roll it, but I would definitely stay away from thumb flicking it. It just feels too awkward and too unnatural and just too awkward. So action is pretty decent. Again, not the best I've ever felt, but it's definitely You can tell it's a decently solid action. We'll go with that. So next up I want to talk about is ergos. Now, the one thing that Ferrum Forge always kills it with is the ergos. So I have to give it to them there. I have to, pat them on the back, and I have to applaud them for always knocking out of the park with the ergos, because they really do. Just the way, you can even tell by looking at the knife. The way the handle is shaped, it has a little bit of taper back here, edges off right here. Also, it's pretty, it's pretty straight up top. You do have the taper, pretty straight on the bottom, and also tapers. You have a very deep finger groove right there. And then you also have a choil, which is very, very nice. So, what that was. Choked back, very, very comfortable. There is no jimping up top there, which is not necessary in a knife like this. I don't think you're gonna be really hard using this too much. It's kind of a gentlemanly type folder in my opinion. But I can still get all 4 fingers on the knife there. I don't feel too squished, I feel just right. But the real sort of shining star of the ergo department is you use that choil, you choke up, you get real far up there on the knife. You could add another finger or 2 if you needed to, if you had extra fingers on your hands. But very, very comfortable. My thumb lands way out here, about 80% of the blade, and you can just get some great push cuts with this. You have great control over what you're cutting through or cutting around. The blade stock is sort of medium. It's kind of right in the medium side of things. Comes down to a decently thin edge, and of course 20 CV is a great steel. So this is a very usable blade and a very usable ergonomic experience, which is really good. And again, I have to give Ferrum Forge their credit for that, because if as much as I don't love their designs always are very comfortable in hand, and they're always very ergonomically geared towards ease of use and comfortability when you're doing specific cuts and stuff like that. And most of them, if not all of them, have really nice choils, and this does fit in the hand very well. It's a nice size knife. For me, you guys know I love to gravitate towards smaller knives, even though I got decent sized hands. I love 3-inch blades or so, and this fits right into that category, it being 2.98 inches. So very, very comfortable, just locks it in there. I feel like I can really do some good work with this. And yeah, so I think honestly, for the whole knife, when it comes to different categories and stuff like that, I think ergos is my favorite part about this knife, which says something, because most oftentimes than not, the action is, or different things. But ergos are just a real shining star of the Mini Malice. So 2 thumbs up there. But next up, we're going to talk about carry. Carry is also pretty nice, pretty well done in this knife. You do not have a loop over style deep carry clip, but you do have a milled titanium pot clip that is, I think it's only, I don't know if you could switch this. It has a clip screw, or a screw here where the clip goes on this side. So I don't know if you could switch that. I honestly haven't checked or not. But you can get about this much into your pocket and have about that much sticking up out, which is okay. It doesn't bother me. Like I said earlier in the video, I think this pocket clip looks really good aesthetically. It also functions pretty well. You get a nice little spring right there, which is nice. It looks good, functions pretty well. So it sits down in your pocket. You do have a flipper tab down here with jimping, but it's not like super aggressive jimping. So if you happen to be going down in your pocket for, change, chapstick, medicine, keys, something like that, you really, you have a risk of, when you're pulling your hand up out of your pocket, possibly pulling the knife out with you, but most oftentimes not, your hand is just gonna bounce right off of that jimping, off of the flipper tab, and you're not gonna have much issues. But I'd just like to point that out to you guys and tell you about that specific scenario, as I do with all my reviews. But it's a nice size, overall, overall. Handle length is 3.94 inches, so it's very nice and small. Almost disappears into my, my fist with a little bit sticking out. So it's very small, very, concealable. Carries very well. Again, 3.4 ounces, I believe. Yes, 3.4. So it's pretty lightweight for what it is, being a full tie button lock. But, I've carried this a few different times, mainly in khakis, I think once or twice in gym shorts around the house. And it carries pretty well in khakis and, decently well in gym shorts. So really, again, no complaints there. Good size, good weight, good overall carry. So lastly, I want to talk about price point and what I recommend this knife. So you guys can probably already guess by now, You know, I'm not gonna run out to recommend this knife. If you guys specifically, you know, someone would ever specifically ask, hey, what your thoughts are, or what are your thoughts on the Mini Malice, I would give them to you. You know, I don't think this is necessarily a bad knife. I'll put it this way. If you like the design of this knife and you were interested in it, then go buy one. I think you will like it. It's made well. You know, WE fit and finish is pretty good on this knife. The button lock system, which is the first one I think I've felt by WE, is pretty solid. You know, you have a good flipper tab. You have a nice middle finger flick. Thumb flick is horrible. I really do not like the thumb flick at all. It doesn't ride very well. You know, it's just, I don't know, not a big fan of the thumb flick, so definitely avoid that. But again, if you like the design, I think the design is a huge, you know, when it comes to every knife, that's kind of the factor. But I think design with this specific knife is something you really want to consider. And again, if you like it, then go for it. Price point on this is $254, which at first kind of seemed like a lot, but then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, you're getting a full titanium knife with a button lock, with 20 CV steel. You know, WE is a well-known OEM. They make really good products. You know, so that after I thought about it and realized, like, okay, that's kind of in line with what something like that would go for. I don't have any gripe with that. Like I said earlier, everyone goes for $254 except for the tiger striped flame tie. It goes for $262.50, and then the Damasteel version goes for $609, which I don't know why anyone would ever buy a Damasteel version. I think those things are just god-awful ugly. But that's another video for another time. But yeah, so $250. You know, if you can find on a site that accepts a code, that's even better. Gets you some money off. But you know, I just give my opinions on the internet for knives, guys. So don't, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. If you think this looks cool, go check one out. I don't think you'll just be disappointed. But if you're like me, you know, you kind of think the design is meh, then definitely, you know, make your own decisions, I guess. But I just trying to, you know, make it a little easier for you guys. But this was my full review on the WE Knives Mini Malice. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now because I have rambled on for 17 minutes. And I think I was able to give my opinions to you guys and get my point across. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.